Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. I'm Jessica Coody, and what a weekend it was for Nebraska track and field. Men's team brings home the Big Ten title, and two-time champion Till Steinforth is here with us in studio to talk all about that. You won in the long jump and the decathlon. What a weekend it was. How much fun was that to be a part of?
Yeah, it was so much fun. I mean, just seeing everybody do their thing, everybody winning was just like hyping me up so much more. Also, me going over like multiple days and the decathlon going over multiple days. It was always nice if somebody else was like winning the event right now. Just like I was like listening to the announcers, like, I don't know, for example, the shot put was going on while I was doing the pole vaults in the decathlon, so it was just motivating to see everybody do good.
So because it can be an individual sport, right? So you're paying attention to what your teammates are doing around the track a little bit?
Yeah, of course. We also have like a team meeting after each day that we competed in the evening. So our head coach, Sinclair, always gave like a little recap of the day and what we need to do for the next day, and like a motivation, and people were talking about their meet or having like some motivational speeches in the evening. So you definitely knew what was happening in the other events.
When he came in prior to the Big Ten championships, you could tell he felt really good about you guys' chances to go compete. So what was the motivation for you guys? How confident did you guys feel as a team that you could go in there and do something special?
Well, I knew I was going to be really close. I wasn't like clear that we're going to win or like that we are like the big favorite. Obviously, we're one of the favorites, but it was close. And I talked with Cody about how close it was. And he actually said we were like second projected with all the placing that we had before in the rankings list. But then throughout the meet, obviously, it went out pretty good. And we started really strong and just continued that vibe over the next days.
So at the end of the meet, you guys are handed the Big Ten championship trophy, the first one since 2016. What was that like, that moment, getting to share that with your teammates when you guys got handed that trophy?
Definitely goosebumps, for sure. It was definitely one of the, I would say probably the greatest track meet I ever had for myself, and also with the team. I had a lot of like meets in Germany years, and I've always been doing track since, I don't know, like 12 years now, I think. And I had a lot of great meets, but that was just so much fun because it was with the team. It was great. Obviously, my own performance was really great for myself also. So just everything together was like perfect.
Which I want to dive into all of the details of your weekend. But you finished fourth in the indoors and All-American, and had what a program record, school record for total points in the heptathlon. How did you approach the outdoor season? Did you feel like this was something that was going to be attainable for you to be able to go compete for a Big Ten title?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I broke also the Big Ten record indoors, and was the best athlete of the Big Ten in the NCAA throughout the year with my score. I didn't do the Big Ten meet for the multi because I was so close to the national meet. And I just wanted to focus on that because I knew I had the potential to place really high. And yeah, the whole indoor season definitely elevated me to do even better outdoors. And I knew my score from last year was, compared to my score now, like really low. So I knew I was going to do better, and I wanted to do better, and definitely also hit that 8,000 points, which is like kind of like a magic mark for every multi. And yeah.
So why the multi events? Why did you get into that?
Well, I always liked, since I've been young, I always liked doing like a lot of different sports or different activities in general, like in every kind of aspect of life. I never really was a person that just did one thing and just focused on that. I always like to do different stuff, if it is in architecture or in arts and whatever. I always like to do a lot of different stuff. So when I started track in Europe, it's common to do a lot of different events, and people keep doing that until they're like in high school, and then some people decide to do just one event. And I just always liked doing different events, and I kind of just stuck with that and wanted to do the multi. And yeah.
Okay, so you go in and you're in the middle of doing, which the Decathlon outdoors is 10 events, and you're balancing doing all these things, and you had a good showing the first day. So then day 2 comes around, and I think you were in the middle of doing pole vault, and then the long jump, just the long jump competition happens. Take us through that, because what's crazy is we were sitting here talking with Maddie Harris, the javelin thrower for track and field for the women's team, and she was saying, well, Till needs to go take one jump, and then you end up taking one jump. But take us through the decision to even compete in the long jump.
Well, so before I was talking to Sinclair, the head coach, and also my coach, Dusty, about it a lot, and that we have to figure it out in the moment, because the timing played out like really good, and the timing was different than we expected it to be, and we knew you can't like predict the timing of it. Sometimes the pole vault, especially in the multi, they start always the event like half an hour after the last event ended, and we were kind of like rolling really good in the multi, and we were like, I think an hour early, or started an hour early with the pole vault. And then also I was in the second flight for the long jump, so they started an hour later than the first flight. So I had a lot of time for the pole vault and was able to do the pole vault completely like separate before, without like taking one jump in the pole vault and then going over to the long jump. So that was definitely a big factor and helped me to kind of like change the focus. But then in the pole vault, I started with like 470 as my opening height and didn't make the first 2 tries. So I only had one try and left in that opening height. And if you have 3 fouls, then you basically have 0 points in that event, and you lose basically your whole multi. I would have not won anymore, and I would have not had a good score. And yeah, so
you had to nail that third attempt.
Yeah, I had to nail that third attempt, and it was like nerve-wracking, I think, for everybody. My family watching back home, and my coaches standing on the sideline, and I know my hands were shaking, and I was holding that pole. I was like, I just got to make that, and I did. And then I continued jumping really good after that, clearing 480, 490, and 5 meters all in the first try. And then at 510, I felt at the end that the energy was getting a little bit lower, obviously after those 2 days already in those events. And then I didn't clear 510, which was fine. 5 meter was a really good mark in the multi for me, having a 520 PR from indoors, and 5 meter was actually a personal best for outdoors. So that was great. And then I finished that, was like good, like having cleared 5 meters. That's what I wanted to do. That was like my goal for clearing 5 meters in the multi. And then Raphael, my athletic trainer, taped my ankle really quick after, because I always tape my ankle for long jump just to have some extra stability. And then basically I just went over, and I was still really hyped up from the pole vault, and also seeing the shot putters throwing crazy marks, which hyped me up a lot too. So I went over there, and then the official asked me if I want to be on hold, which means 2 people are going in front of you, and then basically just tie my shoes. And then I was already up, and I had nothing. I remember having nothing in my mind before the jump, because I had no time to think.
Right.
I just had to do, because I had really no time to think. And yeah, I just completely mindless, just went all out, kind of all the energy I had, and nailed the jump basically. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was a winning jump before you saw the number? Like once you landed in the pit, did you think that was a really good jump?
Oh yeah, I definitely, that was one of the first times this year also where I hit the board really good. Usually I'm like a little bit before the board, or don't really hit the board that good. So I felt that I hit the board good, or you can literally hear it when you like jump off the board. It's like kind of like a loud pop from the wood that you jump off. And I had a good landing too. Sometimes you land a little bit with the legs a little bit separate. So it was all good, and I felt having a good jump. And I knew Dusty was already like looking at me, and I was looking at him, and we knew it was a good jump. And then we just waited for the marks, and or for the mark, and then yeah.
So that was in the trials, and the top 9 advanced to the finals, and that was enough to put you in first place, and then everybody was chasing your mark. But then you have to go compete in other decathlon events. You were going over to throw the javelin. So how were you keeping up with what was going on with the long jump? What was going on in all of that process when the coaches, I'm sure, were keeping a close eye on the long jump, but then you also, hey, you got to do your other events for the decathlon?
Yeah, I came maybe a little bit late for the warm-up for the javelin, but the officials were really good this weekend, I think, and they're working good together with the athletes. So I was able to get enough warm-ups for the javelin, and then like right before the javelin competition started, I just saw the last attempt from the long jumper from Rutgers, and Cody was standing next to me having the live ticker or the live results open, and just said, "Yeah, you're a long jump champion now." So yeah.
How do you balance that and, hey, you just won a Big Ten title, but I'm still in the middle of competing for another one?
Well, I think it definitely just elevated me more, and I was more hyped to do even better, especially in that situation when you're kind of like tired. And yeah, I was definitely really happy about it, and it just gave me more energy for the last 2 events.
You could have been selfish and said, no, I'm just going to focus on my one event. Why was it important for you to help out the team and compete in the long jump and do that event when you had so much other things going on?
Well, I knew before, or we knew as a team, that it was going to be hard to win and that it's going to be close. And so every point counts. And even if I would have just been like 5th or 6th, there would have been some good points for the team. So we knew we needed to get every point we can. So that's why we did that and played out really good.
Oh, that's incredible. So is it safe to say the long jump is your best multi-event?
Yeah, probably.
The announcers, when I was listening to them, they were talking about how usually in the multi-events, the athletes have 1 or 2 really, really good events. What would be those for you?
I think for me it's the long jump, hurdles, and the pole vault.
And what is the event that you have to work really hard at and train that you feel like you need to keep improving on?
I think right now it's definitely discus, and in general the throws.
How do you train for the multi-events? Like how do you go about throughout your week? Because you can't do them all in one day, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, most of the time we go through all the events, plus like lifting and running once a week. So we usually train about it depends on the week. Obviously, if we are going into a competition, we don't train too much. It's probably like 1 or 2 hours a day. But if we have like more time in a week and don't have a competition on the weekend, we usually train like around 3 to 4, sometimes even longer hours per day. And then it usually is 2 events and then some other running workout at the end, or like a lift at the end. So usually starting with the technical stuff, like we do like, for example, hurdles and then shot put, and then some other runs or a lift. Yeah.
What's your favorite event to train then? Because I feel like sometimes that can be different. When you talk to gymnasts, they might have an event that they're best at, but they like to practice one better. Do you have that? Do you have an event that you like to train the best?
I would just say the multi is probably the event. All of them, because it just has something to it to just like try to get better at everything. And even like the discus, I enjoy practicing the discus. Also, it's one of the events that doesn't really take too much on your body, which is sometimes nice. Like if you have to do like runs for the 400 meters, they're like really hard, and obviously it's like you maybe even throw up after or something like that. So training the discus is fun too, even though it's probably my weakest event right now. And just seeing myself getting better is what I like.
How important is the managing of your body and taking care of yourself when you are a multi-sport athlete, multi-event athlete?
I think in general for sports, for every sport, is obviously health is really, really important. And if you're not healthy, you can't compete, and then you can't win, obviously. So that's one of the most important things, if not the most important things, to stay healthy. And I always go in a trainer room like every day after practice, at least for like an hour probably, and really every day. Sometimes I go 2 times. So yeah, that's been a huge part of practice or part of the practicing for the multi.
So you have a specific coach that coaches multi-events, right?
Yes.
And then do you work with the other coaches that have the specific events, that coach the specific events too?
So Dusty Jonas, he is the multi-coach for the multis and also the high jump coach. And he is writing the training plans for me and doing most of the events with me. But then we also work together with the lungers, the Tyler and Glenn, that train the pole vault. They usually train with us in the pole vault. Dusty's often there too to learn more about the pole vault, or sometimes he coaches us in the pole vault too. And then also in the throw, some with Maddie and St. Clair. So yeah, there are a lot of different coaches involved. Also Chase as lifting coach, and yeah.
So you get to actually get a perspective that not a lot of athletes have, where you work directly with so many of the coaches. So what's your perspective on this coaching staff and how they are able to coach their athletes up, because we've just seen such tremendous momentum?
I think it's definitely great this year, and there's been a lot of change in the last year, and coming into this year, everybody was also didn't know what to expect, with Dusty being the multi-coach, and he's never coached the multis before. And yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and everybody else didn't know, and he probably didn't know either, to be honest. But it played out all really nice, as you can tell, and it's just a great team working together, and everybody is working together, and it's just great harmony between everybody.
How did you get to Nebraska from Germany?
Well, after high school, I knew I wanted to go to the U.S. because of the opportunity to study and train at the same time here, and me wanting to do architecture would have not really worked out in Germany, as it's a pretty hard major in Germany as here too, and the universities in Germany don't really support sports that much. So I knew I was going to go to the US, and then it was just a question where I was going to go. And after receiving a lot of offers, I saw Nebraska was the best fit for me, as they have a great architectural school and also a great track team, and yeah.
How do you balance, because you're doing so much in any given track meet, for some athletes, if they didn't perform as well in the first or second event, right? And then that could maybe affect the rest of the weekend, the rest of the events. How do you balance that if, say, things didn't go exactly how you wanted to in one event, to not let that affect what else is coming, if that makes sense?
Yeah, actually that happened also this weekend in the multi. Obviously for me, it's really nice to have two really good events at the beginning. I'm fast in 100 meters, and I'm also really good in the long jump. So it kind of is always nice to have a really good start, and elevates you for the rest if you're still fresh for the first two events. So that's nice, and then you can perform and be right at the top. Kind of, I was first from the beginning to the end of the multi, so that was really nice. But then in the fourth event, I had high jump, which was really good the meet before the Big Tens, but then didn't go as planned in the Big Ten. I jumped at the Big Ten meet, I jumped 190, and the week before I jumped over 2 meters. So that was kind of a bummer, and I was a little bit frustrated after that, because obviously you want to have every event as perfect as possible. But I kind of took my anger and ran it out in the 400, and was able to do a huge PR. My 400 meter PR was a 49.42 before that meet, and I ran a 48.06, so nearly 1.5 seconds or 1.4 seconds PR. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. So as a team, you guys, again, just clinched the Big Ten title. You moved up to number 6 in the rankings, and you're headed towards the postseason. What's that look like now for you guys as a team? And then we'll talk about you individually, but as a team, do you feel like you guys can go in and have a chance to maybe do even bigger things on a national level?
Yeah, for sure. I think moving forward, we're just going to get stronger and stronger. It's St. Clair's first year here as head coach, and he's already been making a huge change with winning that Big Ten title, and I think we're just going to continue getting better and better. I know we're recruiting a lot of people, a lot of really good people, and yeah, we just gonna work every day and then see what's gonna come out at the end. Obviously, sometimes it can go better and sometimes it goes a little bit not as good, but I'm motivated and looking forward to the postseason.
And for you personally, do you go into things like with the mark that you want to hit? You talked about 8,000 points earlier. Is that kind of what your goal is going into things? You try to improve on that? Are you going to try to better what you did at Big Tens or match it?
Well, you always want to better yourself and get a new personal best. Obviously, the 8,000 points was definitely really. I wanted to do that so much over the last years. Always like was thinking about it. Like already like probably 4 years ago, saw people doing 8,000 points or more at World Championships or stuff like that, and I always wanted to hit that mark. And now having it and also being the first one in Nebraska to ever do it is great. But obviously, I do want to improve more, and I know to compete on a highest level on World Championships, you have to do even better than that. And yeah, that's my goal.
That's awesome. You know, as a team, too, you talked about feeding off of each other and the shot putters specifically. They were so fun to watch. What is that like, seeing their camaraderie and how they were pushing each other that entire time?
It was so fun to see, or like kind of like see in the side of my eye, because I was pole vaulting. And I remember that moment for the 5-meter jump. I had like 2 minutes on the clock because we were only 2 people left in the pole vault competition. So I had quite some time to take the attempt. And I was waiting for the shot put mark to pop up on the board, just because I knew they were like, you could hear them cheering already after that throw, and they were waiting for the mark. And I knew it was going to be a big throw. And I was just wanted to wait for that mark just to get like more hyped up. And once I saw them throwing over 21 meters, I was just getting more hyped up. And then the team was supporting with a clap for the 5-meter jump. And yeah, it was just great.
That's awesome. Well, what is the schedule look like now for you personally and the team moving forward?
For me right now, this week is going to be a little bit more rest, as I have done a lot this weekend. We're going to start practicing on Thursday again, but we're just going to keep it more light this week. And then moving into the next weeks, I think we're leaving on Monday for the regional meet, where I'm also going to compete in either long jump or hurdles, just for like obviously I could maybe potentially qualify myself for the long jump there too, but we're taking it more as a practice competition, as I'm already qualified and probably don't want to do the long jump at nationals, as it's just too much to balance. And yeah, so we're gonna go to California to do the regionals meet, and hopefully all the people that we wanted to qualify for nationals there. And then we have 1 week here where we're going to train here, and then on the Sunday after that week, we're going to leave for Texas for the NCAAs.
You've been to Texas? Yeah, you guys have competed in Texas
this
this
year,
right?
We've been in Waco at the Baylor University this year already, and I know a lot of people have been to the Texas Relays also, which were in Austin, where the NCAA is also. I haven't been to that meet because we kind of started a little bit later, but yeah.
And you got finals all done, right? It's finals week around here.
Yeah, it's pretty much all done. I just got one exam left, and I hear a lot of other people having a couple more exams, but it's the final week, and after that, all that school is over, and we can focus on track.
We've heard you say a few times just, how important it was to get your education and balance that with track. You're a scholar athlete as well. I think you were on the honor roll, had a couple accolades there too. How important has it been for you to balance not just being an athlete, being a student too?
Well, I know obviously you can't do track until you're like 50, and there's going to be at some point when you're 30, 35, whatever, there's going to be an end, and also depending how good you are, there's going to be an end to that at some point when you get older. And then I definitely want to pursue another career, which is going to be architecture or something design related, and I just want to prepare myself for that too, because I really enjoy designing buildings or also designing other products, and yeah.
Well, Till Steinforth, appreciate your time. Congratulations on a fantastic weekend. We'll look forward to seeing much more from you and the team coming up here in the next few weeks.
Thank you.